Me and the Notification Gang would like to invite everybody to come join us Monday through Thursday, 9:20 to 10 o'clock for morning coffee, where we discuss the events of the prior day and also just talk mess about stuff. See you then. Hey, don't forget to check out the link of the day in the description.
Oh, Black Dynamite, I wish it was that simple, but this is much bigger than you and me.
Hey, little mama. It may be bigger than you, and it may be bigger than me, but it ain't bigger than you and me. Can you dig it?
BBN, Jack Frost. What's up, party people? Alright, so yeah. I'm sitting here with state your name, sir.
Meezy.
I'm sitting here with Meezy, and we're actually he was the gentleman that went to the courthouse for the arraignment. For everybody that don't know what an arraignment is, that's basically when the state has to, you have the accused, they come into the courtroom, and the state gives out or explains what's the charges that they're there for. So that's basically what an arraignment is. So Meezy was at the arraignment, and we just gonna ask him a couple of questions. One of the questions that I want to ask you, Meezy, when the accused came out, what was the feeling that you got from their demeanor?
Okay. And you're talking about everyone, right?
You could say people individually, or you could talk about them as a whole.
Okay. So when they came out, right? Because I walked into the room first, and then the Warriors came, and then they were the last people. I think it was them and then the judge. But when they came out separately. So it was Shadi, Mel Murder, and the third dude. But there was supposed to be another guy, Crippy, but he was in the hospital because of complications from gunshot wounds that he received earlier. You know, all that stuff. But anyway, when Mel Murder, Shadi, and the third dude came out, they kind of just looked regular. They didn't look too bothered. They kind of look annoyed, to be honest with you, especially Shadi. He looked like he was pissed, like he couldn't believe that he was there.
Got a question.
Then they sat down.
Got a question. I got a question before you go any further. When you say they looked annoyed, did it look like they were putting on a tough guy facade, or did it just look like they couldn't be bothered with being there?
I don't want to. It's gonna be like, I want to say it was a facade, but it kind of looked like, more that way. You know what I mean? It looked like they were trying to say, I can't believe this bullshit in their face. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say they were putting on an act, but it had that face was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here. Like, you know what I mean? I'm pissed that I'm sitting here.
And also, we gotta everybody remember their family was there. So it's not necessarily a facade as much as it is you always want to look like you're strong in front of your family when you're going through such circumstances, because that helps to alleviate some of the pressure or the stress that your family is feeling. Did you get that impression?
Yeah, their family was there, and they were trying to definitely keep a good face. They were telling their family that they love them, stuff like that. And, it wasn't a lot of crying going on. The family was like, they were shouting out like, stay strong and stuff like that. It wasn't a lot of crying. There was people on the other side of the court. I couldn't really see their faces. But yeah. And so they came out first, and they sat down, and then 6ix9ine came out. And there's a lot of, misinformation that's been going around the media about what was going on. I've seen people say he was limping. They're trying to make it seem like he was hurt. But that's not the case, because he was walking funny because his feet were chained together.
1 second, hold on. For nobody that don't notice, usually when you have somebody, you have to go, like they're taking you from the facility that they're holding you at, and then they take you to be in front of the judge. Often your ankles are shackled. And for everybody that don't know, the prison garb isn't the best insulation against the metal, and it can hurt your ankles. It can bother, irritate, and in some cases slightly injure you at your ankles because of that's metal against your skin. Let me ask you one question real quick before you go any further. So you're saying that the first 3 people that came out together. And Tekashi
Yep.
6ix9ine, he came out separately from them.
Yep.
Okay, hold on a second. Usually, I would think that in this case, just from me just having had a couple of experiences myself, there's a good chance that they were keeping these people separate purposely. And I'm not saying that this is a definite, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the back, the first 3 people were in the same holding cell or in adjoining holding cells, while Tekashi was held somewhere else further away from those 3. Sorry about that. Continue.
That's the idea I've been getting from the reports that we've been having, because they did move Tekashi from MDC to a new facility that a lot of people are calling the quote unquote snitch jail. But that, that goes to being whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. But when he came out, when you try to look at his face, it was 2 seconds of like a little bit of confusion. And then I guess it directed him to where he needed to go. And then he sat down. But when he sat down 2 rows behind Shadi and the rest of them. So all 3 of them were sitting in front. And then he was 2 rows behind them to the corner, right? And they had their own separate guards that were kind of walking them around. So that's how they came into the room.
One other question before we move on. I'm sorry about that. You're saying that they had them separated. Did it look like they were trying to prevent them from being able to have any kind of communications?
No, because if they wanted to talk to each other, they could have.
Okay.
It's literally a row, like 2 rows behind. If Shadi turned around and was like, "Yo, what up?" Tekashi would have heard him and would have been like, "What up?" It just looked like they weren't. It looked like they were just being separated because they weren't being held together. That's the best way I could put it.
Okay, excellent. Okay, now, continue. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so they all sat down, and the judge comes in. The judge kind of lets everyone know that, listen, I've done RICO cases before. I've handled RICO cases with 28 defendants. I'm new to a RICO case, right? And the judge, I'm just kind of reading him like, is this judge the type of judge that's like, oh, y'all going to jail? Oh, y'all you're getting the maximum sentence. Because the jurors are going to say if he's guilty or not, but the judge is going to hand out the sentence. But the judge seemed like, like he's willing to hear everybody's side of the story. So he looked like he was pretty normal. And then he kind of told the prosecutors, to kind of explain what was going on. And the prosecutor said, yeah, we just have this investigation we've been doing since 2013 on the 9 Trey blood gang. And the judge was like, okay, so tell me about this 9 Trey and tell me about the evidence you have against him. So they started listing the evidence.
Do you remember exactly what the charges were that they were being held with?
It's so much shit. It's racketeering. It's the gun possession, illegal firearm discharge, the robbery, maiming, and maiming just means like you injured someone in a way to permanently harm them, and that's part of the charge. But it's a RICO charge, so basically they're doing all these charges combined into like a criminal organization,
yes,
right? Because all these things are illegal by themselves, but in a RICO charge is like, okay, you guys have a gang and you're conspiring to do all these things. So it kind of makes it a little worse. That's why the sentencing is so hard. Because for any one of those things by themselves, that's like a 5-year, 10-year. But when it becomes a RICO charge, it's a minimum of 32 years, a maximum of life.
Okay, after the judge started speaking with the prosecuting attorneys, what kind of energy, what kind of vibe did you think that you got from the accused? Did it look like anybody, started looking like they might have been concerned after hearing the actual charges being read out?
Nah, because I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think that was the first time they were hearing the charges. I know that was the first time they were hearing the evidence, but I don't think it was the first time they were hearing the charges. So when they were listing the charges, I don't think anyone looked that nervous. Actually, I think I said it before, a couple of times before the judge started, You know, Tekashi was laughing with his lawyers and stuff like that. You know, Shadi was talking to his lawyer. So it wasn't, they didn't look scared. I mean, the trial hasn't even started. You know, it's not like it's for sentencing. So they didn't look scared, I would say. But yeah.
Okay, you
So
said
anyway,
Tekashi was laughing with his lawyers. This is before the judge came out?
Yeah, like, just to give you kind of the energy, he wasn't like shaking in his boots, which I thought he would be. I thought he'd be crying when he came out, to be honest with you.
Why? So when he
Why
was laughing with
he
his,
be crying?
no, I was just saying that
Oh.
yeah. So when he was laughing with his lawyers, did the other three accused look, you know, how did their demeanor seem when Tekashi was laughing with his lawyers?
They didn't give a fuck. You know, Shadi did turn around a couple of times, not when he was on with us, but just throughout the whole thing. He turned around like, you know, 2 or 3 times to look at 6ix9ine, and 6ix9ine wasn't trying to look at him. You know what I mean?
So it looked like 6ix9ine was purposely trying to avoid eye contact.
100%. He would look at the ceiling. He would look at the crowd. Like he he looked at me a couple of times before he even looked. You know, he didn't look at Shadi at all. So yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of the energy there.
What kind of evidence can you remember that they said that the state said that they had, the government?
All right. So they listed all the evidence, and they listed it in order of like the strongest, and then they said that the strongest is pretty much the social media.
Okay,
right?
so this is the let's stick on the social media thing for 1 second. Okay, so obviously, for everybody that don't know, people love to think that the feds are looking at all of the YouTubers that's talking about this and this and this and that. The feds are very, very smart individuals. I'm pretty sure that these guys are much smarter than the average YouTuber. So when they're usually talking about social media, they're usually talking about the social media that the individual that they're investigating is putting out. Is that what they were talking about?
They specifically talked about 6ix9ine's Instagram story. Quote, I'm looking like verbatim.
Copy.
They were looking at 6ix9ine's Instagram story, the feds.
So,
you know?
So they wasn't looking at YouTubers' accounts.
They might have been. They didn't really mention that.
They didn't mention that at all, but they did mention 6ix9ine's Instagram story.
100%.
Okay. Did they mention anybody else's online footprint?
Specifically by name, I don't think so. I don't think that this was like a week ago, but I don't think that they mentioned anyone else's by name. But I'm sure they were looking at everyone's Instagram and everyone's Twitters and everyone's social media. But the name that they mentioned was 6ix9ine, and they said specifically his Instagram story. I know there's going to be more than that, obviously, since they did seize his phone and they cloned his phone. So they're going to be looking at more than that. But what they mentioned was Instagram, and they mentioned social media. And that was pretty much a huge part of it, right?
Okay.
Because what they also stated was that when Shadi did the robbery of the dude on 40th and 8th in Manhattan, that 6ix9ine recorded it.
You talking about Scum Lord Drizzy?
I don't know who they robbed. But
I believe I believe it was those guys. So I believe if I'm incorrect about this, anybody leave it down in the comment section. So they specifically talked about that altercation specifically.
Yep.
And they saying,
and to be honest, that's the worst thing that 6ix9ine has to battle. If you're asking me, that's the worst thing that 6ix9ine had to battle, because 6ix9ine has to prove, if he's gonna make it out of this, he has to prove that he's not a gang member, which means he has to prove that Treyway isn't 9 Trey, right? Which Shadi has stated in the past. Shadi has stated Treyway is a management company, more like a record label, as opposed to the 9 Trey blood gang. So that's what 6ix9ine. But that really flies in the face of that, the fact that you were recording a robbery, right? It's gonna be hard for you to be like, I'm not in the gang when you were doing that shit, right?
You are correct. I would assume so also.
That looked really, really bad when they brought that up, But again, for you to be indicted in a RICO charge, the RICO charge is 35 crimes, right? You gotta prove that you did at least 2 of those, right? So that may be a little difficult in terms of the prosecutor to prove. But I don't know. I'm gonna leave that up to 6ix9ine's lawyers. He was the only one in there with 2 lawyers, so I guess his money's long. So they probably know what they're doing. But it is what it is. So anyway, so they mentioned the social media as the strongest, and then the informant, right? And then they build up the fact that there's an informant, and then the court just went with whispers, right? Because the judge was like, because they said they have audio recording, and the judge was like, "What do you mean audio recording?" And then the prosecutor was like, "Audio recording from a confidential informant." And the people sitting next to me, they're like, "There's a snitch," and everyone was like, they could just hear the whispers around the room. It's supposed to be a quiet courtroom, but you could hear the whispers around the room. And then I looked at the defendants, and they started looking at each other.
Let me state something real quick about what you just said that I don't think people might not get. Remember, you also mentioned that they cloned 6ix9ine's phone, correct? Mentioned that they cloned 6ix9ine's phone, correct?
They cloned 6ix9ine's phone. Yep.
Okay, so they cloned 6ix9ine phone, and they also had wiretaps, right?
Yep. And they cloned 6ix9ine's phone when he came back into JFK. Remember that time they arrested him when he came back to JFK?
Yes, sir.
I think he was I forgot where he was overseas, but he came back and he got arrested, and they cloned his phone then. But they didn't tell him they were cloning his phone. They just told him, I guess, we're going to seize your phone, and they gave it back to him. So he probably didn't know.
He actually got arrested. Remember, he had to get bailed out.
Right, he got arrested.
All right, so they said they cloned the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also mentioned the wiretaps, correct?
Correct.
And they also mentioned the CI, correct?
Correct.
So just saying arguably, just based on what you're telling me, just hear me out for a second. If they had 6ix9ine's phone cloned, then they're talking about a CI. 6ix9ine wouldn't necessarily be the CI because his phone's already cloned. They wouldn't need for him to become a state's witness, right?
I don't think 6ix9ine is a CI.
Yeah, because his phone's already cloned. So why would they need him to be state's witness? No, I know you're not saying this. I know you're not saying this. I'm not accusing you of saying this. Apologies if you believe that. If I came off that way.
Yeah.
You also said that they had wiretaps, correct?
Correct.
Now, if they had wiretaps, that means that they had the phones of the individuals that they wanted to that they perceived to be the criminals, that they perceived to be the people that are currently arrested. They had their wiretaps, their phones tapped, correct?
Uh-huh.
So that would also mean that the CI, whoever it is, wouldn't be somebody who would have to be somebody that talks to them up close, right?
Yes.
Because if they have the phones tapped and they have 6ix9ine's phone cloned, so that means that for somebody to have to actually wear a wire and actually be a CI and actually be privy to conversations that wasn't going over the line, it would have to be somebody that they come into constant contact with, correct? That would make sense.
Correct. That would make sense. I actually made a video on who I think the snitch is. A lot of it is speculation, but I don't believe it was 6ix9ine. I don't believe it was academics. It wouldn't make any sense if it was academics. And I stated in that video that I'm pretty sure I heard them say they've had that confidential informant since August.
Okay, there's a couple of things that happened in August where somebody could have been picked up. This is correct.
Right. And actually, hold on. Let me take off my AirPod because it's dying. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right,
Nah, you're good. Don't worry about it. Okay, so at this point, after they read off are they still reading off the charges at this point?
The evidence, yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, they read off, that was the main stuff, but they're still gathering evidence, so they're not done getting all the
ongoing investigation.
Evidence. Yeah, they're still gathering evidence. And then the judge asked them, hey, because this is we want to kind of get this over with as soon as possible. The judge wanted to trial to start in May. And he asked the defendant's lawyers, "Hey, can you guys get this? Do you guys mind if we start this shit in May?" And they were like, "No, that's way too soon. These people are facing a minimum of 35 to life. We need to get all the evidence and review it to build our case and make it the strongest case possible."
I agree
So
with.
that's So then the judge pushed it from May to September 4th, and he asked the prosecutors, "Hey, can you, even though you're still gathering evidence, the one that you do have, can you present it to defense lawyers in 2 weeks?" And they said yes. So I think in 2 weeks they're going to get.
What in 2 weeks? I'm sorry.
Can they present the evidence that they have right now while they're still gathering the rest that they need to gather? And they said yes. So by January 22nd, they're going to have all the evidence that's going to be presented in the case, and they're going to say, "Hey, we want this to be admissible, and we don't think this should be admissible because of this, that, and that." You know what I mean? Maybe, I'm not saying there is, but maybe there could have been some illegal search and seizures. You know what I mean? So that may get some evidence thrown out, which will help the defendant's cases. But then what's also going to happen by January 22nd is there's going to be a bail appeal. So there's a good chance that 6ix9ine he may be released on bail. Again, I think that may happen because the judge just seemed to be like he didn't look like a hard ass to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's going to be a bail appeal. The judge is fine with that. So there may be a shot of 6ix9ine getting out on bail January 22nd.
Okay. Another question. You there?
Yep, I'm there.
Okay. Another question is, so they read all of this stuff off. The judge adjourns, gets up, he leaves. What actually happens when Shadi says what Shadi says?
Yeah, so the judge adjourns, the judge leaves. Yeah, and this is another misconception. Is that Shadi yelled that to the judge. He didn't yell it to the judge. He yelled it to the people in the court. He was like, "We don't," so the judge leaves. 6ix9ine gets up and walks out the room. So 6ix9ine didn't even hear it, right? 6ix9ine was the first to walk out the room.
He was out of the room. Let's not say he didn't hear it. We don't know what he heard, but he was out of the room.
Yeah, maybe he heard it in the hallway. Yeah, maybe he heard it in the hallway, but he was out of the room.
Out of the room.
And then Shadi and the other two dudes get up from where they were sitting, and as they're walking out, Shadi yells, "Band, we don't break. It's Treyway," to the crowd. And it was funny as hell. Like, people, some people were laughing. But yeah, his family was, again, telling him that they loved him and stuff. But yeah, that was crazy. I can't believe he yelled that, because the whole time, the prosecutors were just trying to make it seem like Treyway equals 9Trey. So you don't want to be talking like, that's the last thing you would want to do. That was just downright crazy to me, that he would actually say it like that.
So he directly associated himself with a gang when the only way that they could get off is if they could prove that they're not actually an organized crime.
Right. The way yeah, exactly. So I was like, that's kind of crazy to me that, I don't know why you would do that, but it is what it is. He said it, and then he walked out.
Got a question. After he said this, did it seem like his people, I'm not talking about everybody, because obviously there was people there that don't really care for him or the other accused. Did it seem like his people felt felt better, like more confident? Did it make them feel?
His people got a lot of love for him, man. Like, they have a lot of faith and they have a lot of love, because, like I said, they weren't crying. Like, 6ix9ine's mom looked pretty sad the whole time. She looked pretty fucking sad. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Shadi's people were sad too, but they weren't showing it. They were trying to be strong for him, and he was trying to be strong for them. 6ix9ine looked at his mom a couple of times, and he kind of did his hand like he was kind of a playing thing. You know what I mean?
Was what?
Like he was playing. Like, he put his hands together,
praying,
and looked at his mom and like.
Copy. You said praying.
Yeah, he put his hands together like he was praying, and he just looked at his mom, but not in a sad way. He wasn't like, I'm gonna make it through this type stuff.
Okay.
And his girl was there. I'm just now, before I said it was
his girl or the baby mama?
Because not his baby mama.
The other girl, Jade.
Right. Before I said it was two IG thoughts.
Well, I
That
don't
is
even
who
know
they
what her
were.
name is. Strike that. I don't even know if her name is Jade. The
I think it is because people hit my DM and told me it was.
okay. We talking about the stripper girl.
Yeah, the girl that was dancing, I think, in one of his videos.
The girl
he put up.
that Cardi B's people allegedly ran up on.
I have no idea, bro. I don't keep up with that kind of.
I don't really know either. I
But-
might be calling
yeah.
the wrong people.
But I think I've seen them on his Instagram. It was two of them, you know. And at the end of the trial, they were with his lawyers. So now it kind of makes sense to me. It didn't make sense to me at the time,
Okay.
you know. But now it makes sense to me. But his baby mama wasn't there.
All right, so Meezy it is.
Mm-hmm.
So just going out, you know, ending it off. I want to know what kind of vibe did you get from the situation? Like, how do you feel? What's your opinions on what you saw in the courtroom?
I'm gonna give you how I think it's gonna go forward, right? And like I said, I made a couple of videos on this. So I'm gonna make more. But what I think happened, what I think is gonna go on is there's a good chance that A, 6ix9ine may get out on bail, or B, 6ix9ine may not serve federal time. You know, the information got released today that the state basically dropped all that child stuff, so he doesn't have to worry about that either. So there's a good chance that he may not serve federal time, or he may get some kind of program. I don't know. His lawyers seem like they know what they're doing. Like I said, he was the only one in there with two lawyers, and they seem pretty confident. So I don't know if there's going to be any cooperation going on. I want to assume that there is, but based on the evidence that they listed, 6ix9ine didn't really do anything. You know,
Just there.
now, yeah, he didn't. So he didn't do anything, but he was just there when things were being done. You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
Which they may say is conspiracy. I don't know. I guess that's how conspiracy works.
That is
when you were in on
exactly
it.
how conspiracy works.
Okay, so they may say it's conspiracy, but he didn't really, you know, when you talk about armed robbery, he didn't do that. When you talk about gunshots, he didn't shoot any guns. He was just there when it was being done. And another thing that looks really bad for him is the fact that those guns were kind of found in his residence, because they said they found that in Daniel Hernandez's house. They didn't say we found it at one of the locations of the other. They mentioned his name straight up that was his house, you know. But 6ix9ine can say, hey, I haven't lived there in God knows how long. I was on tour when you found that. Anybody could have put that there. You don't have my fingerprints on it, you know. But I think there's a chance 6ix9ine makes it out of this. Shadi has a tough road ahead of him because they have him on video on 2 separate occasions. So he got a very tough road ahead of it. What was I going to say? Do I think that there's cooperation that's going to be going on? Very possible, because these people are facing heavy numbers. So it's very possible. And then here's the thing. Here's how the Fed snitching works, right? All these people are going to be in separate investigation rooms or separate negotiation, whatever rooms, right?
Facts.
Now, if 2 people commit a crime, right, both of them get caught. If both of them don't snitch, maybe they get 5 years apiece. Maybe they get 10 years apiece, right, if they don't snitch.
Okay.
Right? Maybe they either get 10 years apiece or they get nothing because the cops can't prove anything. But now they're in 2 separate investigation rooms, and the cop is telling him, yo, it's up to you if you want to snitch first, because if your partner snitches first, he's going to get 5 years and you're going to get 20. So it's like, do you trust your partner not to snitch, or do you want to get this 5 years instead of this 10 or 20? So that's why people snitch. So when you're telling someone, yo, you're facing life, do you want to get 25 instead of this life, or you want to get, because the other people who's in this with you may snitch, and if they snitch first, it's a wrap for you. So there's a very strong possibility that cooperation is going to happen.
Well, let's make sure that we explain that there's a difference between cooperating with the law and snitching. Cooperating, especially when you're dealing with the federal government, usually deals with you saying that the federal government saying that you committed a crime, and then when you cooperate, you're basically saying, yes, I did commit that crime. Whereas snitching would be you are turning witness against another individual. So no. I get
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying 100%. I just want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that we're clear on what you're really saying. You're saying that you think that there's a chance that there are
Mm-hmm.
people that are currently involved in this investigation that are being part of the accused that just might speak on other people who are also being accused.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that right now there's one confirmed informant, but there may be more coming up, depending on how things go on. There's a very good chance there may be more coming up. People are going to look at the evidence, right? The lawyers are going to review it, and they're going to say, "Hey, man, you're fucked," or "Hey, man, I think you can make it out of this." You know
That's
what I
a
mean? So
fact.
based on based on that, there may be more snitches coming out. You know what I mean? Because this whole street shit, this whole loyalty shit, it's a dub. It sounds good on paper, but you know what I mean? Like behind closed doors, we don't know what people do.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So to answer your question, I think that 6ix9ine has a lot. There's a lot of evidence, right, that's associated with 6ix9ine's name, because they're still going to be looking through his social. They're coming for his social media. That's why in my video I was telling academics, yo, no joke, academics, you may get called in for questioning. Like,
Wait, you told academics that?
No, academics have stated that, yo, he didn't really talk any street shit with 6ix9ine, right? But, you know, but the news came out that, yo, academics is a snitch, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't think academics is a snitch, but academics is really close with 6ix9ine. So the feds think that academics know something, they may call him in for questioning.
Okay, I just want to say this here. I try not to talk about other YouTubers on the platform, but you just brought up a really good point. And that point is there are a lot of YouTubers that are making content saying that they believe that academics is snitching, will snitch, whatever the case might be. I have not made videos like that. What is a fact that you just said is that whenever an individual is close to somebody who is under investigation, they are going to come talk to you. That's a fact. So
right. They call you a person of interest, quote unquote.
Absolutely. So without a shadow of a doubt, at some point or another, the federal government did want to speak or do want to speak to DJ Academics. Now, whether he knows anything that can possibly help them is a totally different story. Because believe me, they're speaking to everyone Tekashi knows that he's close with. They're speaking to everybody that Shotty knows that he's close with. They're speaking to everyone that Mel Matrix knows that he's close with. So this is not oh man, DJ Academics has to be snitching because the police is speaking with him. I don't know if they even have, if they are even speaking. I just want to make this clear because, you know, this YouTube shit is, so you say somebody's name and then all of a sudden people jump out the woodwork. They think, I'm not attacking the dude. I don't have no reason to believe that he knows anything that would be pertinent to the investigation. Not at all. But I do believe that at some point or another, the federal government would have wanted to speak with him or have spoken to him. Whether he knew something or not, gave up something or not, or didn't give up anything is a totally different story. Anyway, it was definitely a pleasure having you on, my brother. Shoot me a link for your video that you did speaking about this. I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. If anybody wants more...
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to give you the list of videos, and can I plug my Instagram? Because I'm going to be putting up more videos. Can I plug my Instagram on there?
Yeah, mention your Instagram. You could mention it.
Instagram is EMEEZYONTHETRACK. That's Meezy on the track.
I'll leave a link to his Instagram in the description. How about that? That works out?
Appreciate it.
Excellent, my brother. So you send me leave a link to his email, to his Instagram in the description. Y'all could go talk to the brother yourselves if y'all want to find anything out or whatever the case might be. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on to the BBN network and giving me this interview. Is there anything else you want to add?
Nah, not really.
Excellent.
I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate the platform. You're doing good work. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you.
All right.
Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification gang. # Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I got on this one. I'm out. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you would like to help dictate the direction that this channel takes, please leave a comment. All comments are appreciated, whether positive or negative. Thank you very much and enjoy your day. And remember, positive thoughts cause for positive things to happen. Let's get it.